What's up, everybody? I feel silly with my mug up there. How's it going? Just gonna wait for people to funnel in here before I begin. Yes, you are for, yeah, you are first. Dead. No bell killer. So we're going to be doing portfolio reviews. I'm going to be starting off with just a few that I received from the Patreon community, which is something I just set up last week. It's growing slowly but surely here. But one of the things I do guarantee is a good solid portfolio review or project review if you submit it here. Plus, we're doing weekly design challenges. So, yeah. No, monthly design challenges, I should say. But that's for Patreons only. Then I'll do a review that I upload to the YouTube channel. So, I'm looking at this. I'm just waiting. I'm gonna wait maybe like one more minute and then I'll start the review. So I just launched my music YouTube channel, actually. I'm going to give that a quick plug real quick while I wait for more people to come in. It is, these are, let's see here. If I could find the damn link. Let's see. I'm just typing off screen. I'm going to get the link here in a second. And we'll start the reviews momentarily. Let's see here. Oh god, this sucks. What the hell? I can't even find the damn channel. That's how horrible. That's how small it is. I can't even find the URL. I don't want to log out and log back into this because I could mess this. It might mess something up. Oh yeah, you do have a history here. I can do that. Oh, there we go. Gonna start soon. Sorry, I'm being slow here. There we go. Yeah, here we go. So this is the very first video that I put up, and this was a quick one. It was an issue that I was facing. It's actually not representative of the type of content I'm thinking about producing for this channel, but it's called slant. That's what it's called. Let me see here. It'd be nice to get more subscribers. I just uploaded this video yesterday, so it sucks. You know, you start off with a brand new channel, and I'm used to this big channel here where I upload a video, and then all of a sudden, you know, it gets couple thousand views within the first 24 hours, but I'm at 39 views. So obviously it takes time for YouTube to trust you, plus you have to build up a subscriber base. So it's going to be something that takes a long time and a lot of work to get to, obviously anywhere near where I'm at with the current channel. So this is unfortunately, it's not a channel, a very URL friendly sort of thing. So hopefully you guys will be able to find that. I don't even know if I could paste it in the what do you call the channel. Let's see if I can. It lets me paste that. There you go. Go do me a favor and give me some damn subscribers if you like music. I don't like to blindly beg for subscribers, but if you want to, go ahead. All right. So like I mentioned here, homemade jam. What do you mean you're getting a? Oh, maybe you mentioned you're referring to somebody else's. All right. So I'm going to start with the Patreon only reviews first. All right, so there was only a couple submitted because, again, there's only 11 patrons at this point. But I'm going to start with them first, and then I'll do a few after that. Now, obviously, as this Patreon base builds up, it may get to a point where I can't do free ones just because there's so many people who've already paid for other ones. All right, so we're going to do one called Hey Z2, or some, yeah, Hey Z2, Zito. That's from the user from Patreon, and I'm going to do that one first. So let's find it here. All right. So let's check this out. I'm going to refresh. There's a little bit of animation. All right. So this is for, I believe, Magic. Yeah, your place for Magic. The Gathering free trade. I never played that game, but I remember so many kids, and I'm 35. I remember in high school it was real popular. I believe it was. But anyhow, looking at this, my initial reaction is pretty solid. There's two things that are throwing me off. And one is the logo. I think definitely the logo could be improved. We have this sort of maroon bar going behind it, and it kind of it feels like if you added some separation, maybe like a white, like 10 to 15 pixel stroke around this shield sort of thing, it would help really encase the logo more so that you can see it. Outside of that, the logo itself, ignoring the clash occurring here with that bar, that nav bar sort of thing, it seems like, you know, you have a dark kind of blue and then you're using black, and so it's kind of hard to see what's happening in the logo itself. So I try to increase contrast of some sort. Outside of the logo, I'm not too certain about the drop shadow. It's a real, I mean, it's a pretty thick drop shadow. I mean, it's not horrible, but I would maybe experiment maybe with taking this drop shadow and making it like maybe even a zero feather, and just making it real light if you do want to have a shadow. So no blur, and then making it real light, maybe, you know, something that doesn't contrast hardly at all with the background, and then it'll be very subtle and it will still work. Going with that. Outside of that, I like everything else. The solid navigation up here, you know, good contrast. You can clearly see where you're at as an identifier for the menu item, being white here. This sub menu, it works as well. If you click these, looks like you have a nice sort of animation occurring on these. We also have a vertical sort of animation that's occurring. So these are all really, you know, I would say this is mostly, you know, this is 85% solid in my opinion, based on, you know, what exactly it is you're doing here. I assume these are external links. Yes, they are. So there's really not much else here in terms of this, but it is an interface. You're using some sort of JavaScript going on here. And yeah. So that's it. Those are my only two comments. Everything else here is pretty solid. I like you use a unique approach to outlining the information that's pertinent to each card and all that stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's start off with the next one from Patreon. This is from Homemade Jam. Username Homemade Jam. All right. Okay, so my initial reaction is it's solid. But I mean, there's nothing crazy happening here. It's not like crazy modern or anything, but it's a nice solid layout, which it seems to be that this is, like a, I'm just kind of reading here real quick. Yeah, it's for a community. So it's probably best, you know, just to stay away from anything that's extremely modern or trendy when you're dealing with a government or community sort of website. I mean, you want to make sure first and foremost everything's easy to use. I see you have that here. The colors, you know, good color up here. The community probably doesn't have a logo in and of itself, so. But still, it contrasts well. Nice, easy to use search bar here with an easy to understand and use navigation. That works here. And then, yeah, everything here is just really solid, in my opinion. Let's check out some other areas like news. All right, so let's see what you're doing, though, in terms of responsive, you know, how this thing reacts responsively. I mean, when you're in a larger viewport like this at 1920, you can get away with a large header graphic like this because it's the important stuff still above the fold, because it seems maybe a little bit too large. But let's see what's happening when we take this down. Good. Still works quite well. Yeah, everything's working here. I might want to change this up just on the mobile viewport. There's an issue happening here when you, yeah, I would completely get rid of this hamburger icon simply because it's not clickable and you already have a drop down nav here. So yeah, I would get rid of that because it's simply redundant. I would probably make this stand out more, this drop down nav, make it darker perhaps so that people can clearly see that they can click it down, not just by a small little drop down icon. Again, I'm just being nitpicky. I mean, these are small things. Overall, what I see here is solid. This is a selector. So I don't know if we could place a background on this. Nope, that's not the one I want. But what I'm trying to get at is to try to encase. Let's try this one. Yeah, I don't want to do black. I want to do this and then maybe drop it down a bit around here and try to do the whole thing. That way it's a little bit more evident that you can click on it. Yeah. Let me check out a couple other things. There's a business listing. All right, so we have a sort of a tag-based navigation here. That would definitely work on the larger viewport. Yeah, everything's solid here. The card-based layout for the actual business listings, very simple. It works. All right, good stuff. All right, I know I did have one more that was supposed to submit, but I don't know if he is going to be doing that yet. So, all right, let me check out a comments, make sure everything's working still correctly. All right. Yeah, yes, sir. Are you going to be submitting your? Because that's another Patreon. I know he said he was going to submit it like 10 minutes after. We'll go ahead and check out one of the other ones that are here already. So, where are we at? 10:59. Well, I'm not sure which I'm supposed to. Oh, right here. It's just a 404 error, possibly. All right. No, it works. Oh, okay. I see you recently used one of my text transition animations right here. I don't know about the black, though. I might use a different color there. Maybe a different, darker shade of blue, perhaps, so they don't contrast so much with the white and black. I would left align this to this text, make this text a little bit bigger, at least on this viewport, this larger browser viewport here. The navigation works. Although I would try to structure this CSS in such a way that when you hover over it, it doesn't shift everything by a pixel or two as it is now. I would try to work on possibly coming up with a different way to emphasize your sections of content here. For instance, this right here, just it's a little, to me personally, it's a little bit off-putting to have it just just this Bezier curve come out of nowhere and then end kind of nowhere, and then next you have these lines coming dropping down from it, and then also the borders. I would try to what I would do personally is look at some modern landing pages to see how they section off their different parts of their content. Like for instance, landing page gallery. There should be some of these. There's so many different landing page galleries that we can check out to see how different companies are approaching, you know, how they change and display their different sections of content. I'm kind of a fan of this one, but and it's very simple. They have a lot of white space. I think that's one thing that this one was lacking, is white space between the sections of content. But outside of that, everything else seems to be pretty solid. I like the colors. The color scheme works well. Form would be a little bit hard to read with this area. It's not hard to read, but it's just a little bit cluttered when you have this circle that's going behind it. And I mean, it would be okay if you had a real light watermarked sort of background right here, but when it kind of just it clashes with these different areas, especially when the backgrounds of these are this light gray, it almost matches this gray, so it's a little bit cluttered here. But outside of that, everything's pretty solid. Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that submission. All right, let's check out this one. Oh, let me do this one. Let's see here. Let's go back to portfolio submissions. Yes, sir. I would post it in the portfolio submissions for me. Thank you. All right, we'll try this one right here. All right, the Webio or Webio. Okay. All right. I'm just trying to get a gather on this because I'm conflicted. I'm very conflicted about this one. I think there's small changes that you can make that will really make this top of the line. Because first, I don't know if you designed this illustration right here, but I like it a lot. It works very well. Next, this Bezier curve that I hear, it's like so light. It's extremely light. It would probably be better if you brought that out a little bit more contrast, make it a little bit, you know, slightly darker blue. Not a ton, but just a little bit, maybe by like 5 to 10%. Then you can see it a little bit better and the effect that it has going. Next, the biggest issue is the logo. So the logo, the quality of the logo honestly doesn't seem like it matches the quality of this UI design, of this layout. So I would definitely, you know, when it comes to logo design, that's a whole other thing. I have I think I uploaded, I think it's like a 3-hour identity design course. It's free. It's on my YouTube channel. Just type in logo design course or something like that in the channel search and find it. But there's a number of things going wrong with the logo, in my opinion. Like there's an unnecessary underline underneath the Webio. The symbol just kind of feels cheap to me. And that's not like me being mean, but for instance, if you get into the actual details, there's too much detail. The lines are too close together. And that's not really an effective approach to logo design, because if you scale that thing down any smaller, you're going to lose that detail and it becomes cluttered. So I would, you know, the type itself is fine, but I would really try to think about, you know, getting another or a different logo design. And there are tons of logo design galleries for inspiration in terms of coming up with styles and all that stuff. But yeah, I have a lot of different logo design tutorials on my channel I would recommend checking out. Next is this part right here. So, okay, The navigation, I would definitely right align that because it's kind of just stuck here in the middle. It doesn't really make sense, especially because you have content out here. You're going to help frame this layout better if you push this content, this navigation to the right and you right align it over here. All right. Next is this part. The drop-down navigation, the way you've designed this, also kind of feels like it doesn't fit with this very nice, section right here. I would get rid of entirely this kind of really saturated blue. You don't need that border. In fact, well, it's a hover, so it might be a pain to try to update this, but I would get rid of that for sure. The underlined links right here, I would get rid of that because it just kind of feels a little bit cheap. I would get rid of the fact that they're underlined, and do yourself a favor and go to some of the UI design galleries out there and search for a menu designs. Some of them have categories for menus, and see what they're doing out there. But if you change the logo and you move this to the right and you fix this over this hover over here, everything's going to improve by a lot. And like small changes result in big changes in a sense, and better results. All right, so coming down here, let's see here. One thing for a large viewport resolution like this, I wouldn't make this span almost 100% out. I would bring that in a lot easier because it's hard just to read. Nobody wants to sit here reading all the way from here to here to here. So bring that in big time. Additionally, you have an issue with alignment here. This headline starts right here before the F. Then you're insetting or you're indenting this paragraph in by about 20 or 30 pixels. And then you're pushing this over here. Just make them all start on the very left, left column, right where they should be starting, right here. And then that will be a big improvement. Also some issues with alignment. I would probably push this up a little bit closer up here and then keep this down a little bit further. Outside of that, it'd be fine. All right, and then some things are just kind of pushed too close together. For instance, this right here, the top of this is right up against these columns. I would push things down, especially on this larger resolution. And again, fix these issues with alignment. And if you did that, this design will become 1,000 times better because it has a lot of potential. All right, thanks for that. All right, we got an Adobe. This is another Patreon supporter, or one of my moderators. Let's go ahead and open that up. I'm skipping over a couple of these just because this dude pays me. So let's open this up. Make sure it's off screen here. Come on, load up, load up. All right. Okay. Hammer. I'm just using this here, just so I can get a better idea of what's happening and perhaps what the actual purpose is. Okay, so the first thing I would look into doing is changing up the buttons in relation to the background. So you're using a photograph that has or a background that uses a photograph that has a lot of contrast with it. I would definitely change the buttons. You want to have, in my opinion, you could still see the buttons. There's not really readability issues with it, but I would personally, especially because you have 3 of these buttons, you're kind of not sure where you should click first, and I'm not sure if buttons in this manner would be the best way of going about it. But I would probably increase the backgrounds of the buttons to 100% so that they stick out a lot more than that. I'm also trying to gauge exactly what's happening here. Present continuous. I don't know what that means. I'll be honest with you. Like, in what context does that mean? I am my homework, making, do, doing, make. I'm kind of confused. I'll be on. It looks like some type of question answer thing, because it says questions answers 2 of 15. But ignoring that, I don't even have to understand the context of this, but I think definitely there's a lot of improvement here for just the UI layout itself. It just kind of seems, you put a background here, then you just put some buttons on top of it. I would try to, this is obviously for the purpose of some type of mobile app, and in that case, I would definitely look into, again, I know I already recommended this twice earlier in different contexts, but going to like these UI design inspiration sites like mobile UI categories and checking out how they do onboarding. It seems like this seems to be kind of almost like a splash page of sorts, and try to get an idea of how they're laying this out. For this one, spoon, fork, plate, knife. Okay, this one makes a little bit more sense to me, some type of quiz of some sort. Again, I would definitely try to structure this UI out differently, because like I said, it feels like it's pieced together differently, or not differently, but it's just pieced together without much thought, really. There needs to be more structure in this design. For instance, like a top bar that will hold the logo, and the logo right here is just kind of placed in the upper right. It's usually not a standard convention. You can have a back button, but I would definitely change it up. There's just too much here. One of the things I might do here for the Patreon community is maybe pick out one of these UI designs going forward in the future and then recreate it. I'm not going to do that here now because this is just a strict review, but there's a lot here happening that it's hard for me to try to say you have to do this X, Y, and Z. I'd really say start over from scratch, and try to, again, gain inspiration from the top UI designers, and try to emulate that. So hopefully that was helpful. Probably discouraging a little bit, but it is what it is. You definitely have things that are going right for you. For instance, simplicity. You have simplicity down. That's one of the core tenets of good UI design. You're not trying to do too much, so that's good. Your type is good. Your color seems to be pretty good as well, because you could still read things. Your scale and sizing seems to be spot on as well. There's just a few things I think, and that is in terms of structuring a solid user interface, instead of just kind of throwing buttons on here and there. So that's my take on that. I always want to check out the comments here just to make sure everything's going good. All right. Now we're already at what, 30 minutes, so I'll probably do this for maybe 10 to 15 more minutes, and then we will conclude. So where was I at? I think this one was next. All right. Okay, so we got a space background. All right. Start. About me. Statistics, works, contact me. Well, what happens when I go start? Wow. Wasn't expecting that. All right. Very interesting there. Let's choose about. Okay. What's this? This is Y way over here. Well, maybe that's something else. What statistics? I'm just getting trying to get an idea for this before I start to. Oh, that's why it was over there. Because we hasn't scrolled down yet to that point. Okay, so you have a solid grasp on doing really interesting things with code and JavaScript and all that, which is great. But there's definitely a lot of room for improvement in terms of graphic design / UI design. So first and foremost, this large start thing right here, I mean, it's a button in and of itself, and it looks like it just takes you probably to the, yeah, just this thing. I would try to separate, I would completely restructure how you're presenting this initial area. The big old start right there, it's not even too obvious that it's a button. It looks like a label or a headline of some sort. So I would change that up. If it's a button, make sure that people know that it's a button. This About Me, Statistics, Works, and Contact Me menu, I would definitely change that as well. This almost feels like a splash page to me. What I would do instead is go a little bit more with the conventional route, where this navigation is just somewhere on the top, and use this space. You can still have this background, but put like a headline and subheadline about what it is you do. People want to know right away what the hell a site's about when they visit it. That's always been a truism for decades, and so I would definitely do that, and then just have a call to action somewhere. Where people can click learn more or about me or whatever, and then just have a standard UI up here, especially a UI that maybe that's sticky, because this is a scrolling page and you don't want to have to keep going back up to access these different parts of the page. So I would have like a sticky nav up here with this information. Next up is this About Me. No, it's not. Sorry, it's this part. This right here, the old school Photoshop sort of text effect that you have happening here, scrap that completely. That was something that was real popular back in the mid 90s to late 90s, that type of aesthetic for text. I would completely get rid of that. And again, go to logo design inspiration sites, see what they're doing in terms of type. The About Me area, this is a little bit small for this resolution. I would probably increase that. Coming down here, this is a better area of the design in my opinion. Up here, in terms of the design itself, this definitely has a better structured layout in my opinion. All right, and outside of that, yeah, if you do those few things, I think you would definitely improve the page, and you could still do this interesting sort of. Wait, what happened here? I think I just clicked on something by accident. But yeah, you would definitely improve what you have here if you do that. All right, so thanks for that submission. Somebody messaged me on here. I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. All right, so we'll continue on. So let's go back here to portfolio submissions. And again, I'll just mention it. If you guys do want me to do a review and you submitted it and you're at the bottom, I'm probably not going to get to you. You could do a super chat or join the Patreon or whatever and go in for next week. All right, so let's go on. So who was that? I'm going to make sure I remember. This was from ELIE. All right, so where's that at? All right, we'll do this one. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure what I think about this. It's a little bit of a not a typical type of layout. It looks like we have a 2-column layout. This one looks to be about 60% and 40%. Unfortunately, because I only know one language and this is not it, I can't really tell exactly what this is about. This is kind of throwing me off. I can see that it's a sticky type nav here, but you're taking up a lot of space for what seems to be what, this is the logo. We have a subheadline and we have a couple call to actions, and I'm not sure what I think about that. Yeah. Like I said, it might be better to go with a more standard convention of doing kind of like a hero section with this information where people can scroll past. And then also it takes up, I would say, an unnecessary amount of space. If you want to keep it here, that's fine, but maybe shrink this in so that it's more like 25%, so that you have more space for this section over here. I'm just clicking on these to see what happens. All right, so it looks like a login and registration page. Now it works. The font is a little bit hard to see over here. This stuff over here is fine, but this type over here is how do I get out of here? Well, I could just refresh, I guess. Oh, I could translate. There we go. Okay. Yeah, this I can barely even read this. And one issue that's creating some inconsistencies is the fact that you're using certain type over here, but it's not over here. Yeah, this is just a strange layout for me to try to critique. I'm not too much of a fan of this center text right here, and I've always talked about this before in previous review videos or streams. When you have two columns and then you center text in one of them, it kind of throws off the flow of the design. So I would probably left line everything, open it up, especially on this resolution. You have a lot of space over here, even more so. All right, so thanks for that. Who was that? That was a plan. Okay, so open link. All right, hostadam.com. Support billing, control panel, and then this. So first of all, it seems a little bit unnecessary to have two different navigations, and especially they're kind of styled the same as well. I mean, just the buttons right here, the same size of type right here. If you want to have a secondary navigation, I would take this, put it up in this bar somewhere, right here, and then sorry, I need to drink water. My throat's all messed up. And then, you would have saved space right here for something else, and then you only have 4 links here. It possibly could go in this section if you put these links up here, styled differently, of course. All right, so Minecraft hosting. All right, starting at just $2 with a lot of features. Under username, password to join here. Good call to action button. Very simple card-based design. Not too sure about that blue outline, but then you can still see it though. Our top partners. This section for the different pricing points. I believe on some of these UI design galleries, they have sections just for these sort of price panels, these columns, which is a typical, design pattern that you see on hosting sites and other SaaS-based websites. I would change this up, mainly because this blue right here, this $9 a month blue, is the same blue as your Create My Server, and this call to action should definitely stand out from everything else. So I would take this blue and maybe really bring it down in desaturation. It doesn't have to be the same as this background color, but something that maybe just pops out just a tiny bit more, or it could be just completely black or something. But it should contrast, but not this much to where it's competing right here. Yeah, so just those couple things I think would be helpful. Reorganizing the navigation, and then adjusting this as well. It seems like you like to use borders a lot, so I'm noticing there's a big, there's a thick border that is on this area right here, which this isn't that bad, but I think it comes a little bit much because you got the same sort of border approach over here. When it comes to these type of borders, I'm usually not a fan. These type of borders were really used, you know, back in the earlier 2000s and such. Again, they can work. I can't say they can't never work, but I think in this context, they could be done differently. Maybe without a border and just changing up the background so that you can have panels that work without borders. All right, so that's just my thoughts. Well, some of that was subjective. So yeah. Overall, most of what that design had was solid in terms of just, you know, easy to use, easy to understand. We'll try another one. What is it? 41 minutes. Okay. I will do 2 more reviews. So that's going to leave this one right here and SiteTide.com. So anybody else below here, unfortunately, I'm not going to get to you today unless you do a super chat or you join my Patreon, and you can just notify me before I conclude. All right, so let's do this next one right here. Open link. Whoa, something is happening here. All right, let's refresh that. Wow. Yeah, this looks like definitely some. Oh wait, wow. I didn't know it was interactive with my mouse here. Very interesting and unique. All right. I'm not sure what I should be clicking on. See the project. This might just be. Okay, it looks like this is, you know, this is the only thing that's presented. Very unique, I have to say. It seems like it might be a little bit slow. Like again, I have a lot of stuff on my machine that's going on for recording this stream and all that. But you know what? From what I see, this is definitely, it's very unique, more type of abstract sort of layout. Again, it looks like it's has something to do with a video clip and playing or whatever. So yeah, there's not enough here for me to really say, you know, to give you a great critique here. But based on what you have, I like it. You know, this type right here, good contrast, even though there's a lot happening in the background, so you can still see it. See the project. Again, this doesn't work. It's aside from just restarting this sort of animation. But yeah, definitely very cool. And we'll do the final one, which is going to be SiteTide.com. Web hosting pages and some pages in the footer, reviews, branding, network status, and personal hosting. Okay, let's do that. All right. I think it would definitely scale down the size of this logo. A little bit too big in my opinion, because it's taken away quite a bit already. The customer portal in this button right here, you could probably, like I said, just take all 3 of these elements right here, just scale them down by about 30% maybe. You know, it'll definitely be better. The home, yeah, this navigation right here, it's throwing off the layout, the flow of the layout. Yeah, especially when you're looking at this. So again, we have alignment issue where we have SiteTide that starts right here, and then we have the home. The next element that you see that has a lot of contrast is the home, and I can see that when you hover over it, it kind of comes back because you have this hover color that's starting here. I would try to make it so that you leave this color here on all of them by default, so you can kind of encase the logo, and that way these would start on the same kind of path, even though this one's over to the left a little bit more. So line these things up as if there's an invisible wall and they're all being pushed to that wall. Same thing with this web hosting area. Just push it, you know, right here. They all start on the very same column or vertical path. and it really helps to make the logo just feel more cohesive and flow better. Outside of that, everything else is solid. Good solid logo. The colors work well. Contrast works well, and all of that. All right, so pretty simple, very effective card-based designs with icons that work. Seems like you could probably space things out a little bit more in these sections. We have this section right here, which is a headline and subheadline. You could probably push things down a bit more on this larger resolution. Same thing with what our customers say. And this isn't bad. This says this works here. I would make get started like this by default. I wouldn't make them hover over that to get that aesthetic, because this really contrasts well. This, not so much, but I'm being nitpicky about that. But outside of that, everything is solid. Everything else is solid. So just some alignment things I think could be changed, and it would work well. All right. So let me check out our chats here. Make sure everything else is cool. And yeah, so if you submitted, once again, if you submitted a design or a project or a portfolio from review, I'm done now doing those. Let me check out the pop-outs here, or the chat. You don't have to be a patron to submit. As you saw, I took care of all the patrons at the beginning, and then I reviewed a bunch more after that. But as the Patreon base starts to grow, there will be less time for me to do free ones, essentially. All right. But yeah. So again, yeah, the Patreon that I have going, let me show you guys real quick. We're doing several things there. One of the things that I'm doing is monthly design challenges. So let's see here. The monthly design challenge for September is just a fictional logo design project, and then in October we'll have another one, and then I'll do a video review of all the submissions for these. These used to be pretty popular. I did them several years ago on the channel, but it just gives you a fictional project brief, and then I review the submissions based on the brief and the work that was produced. So that's one of the things that you can do for just becoming a $3 patron or whatever. So I'll stop spamming my monetization stuff. But yeah, so that was fun. Hopefully you guys gained something from that. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and block that dude, and then yeah, look forward to new tutorials for next week. I'm getting more deep into Adonis, and I'm going to yeah, because just recently I did the free crash course for Adonis.js, which is a Node.js based MVC sort of framework for building out apps. So that was an hour and 25-minute free course that I released. The next videos that I plan to do will be integrating the Node.js or the Adonis API server, which will allow you to use a front-end framework like JavaScript, a JavaScript front-end framework like Vue.js or anything else for creating, a full-stack application. So that's going to be exciting, and I will be, definitely doing tutorials and focusing on that as well. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Yep, that is it. It's already 50 minutes, and I have to head out. So see you guys real soon. Goodbye.